Hello guys, welcome back. Now today, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 favorite players coming out of the NHL Western Conference. Now I already made a video about the Eastern Conference, you can go check that out, but to me, the Western Conference has a lot more likable players, mostly because I like a lot more teams in the Western Conference, but I feel like the West is just a little bit more likable than the East, so again, it was a little bit harder to make this list. But again, with every single one of these top 10s, I love to hear your guys' ideas. What are your top 10s? What are your lists? And who are the players in the Western Conference that you like the most? Now, just a little bit of a disclaimer, the Dallas Stars are my favorite team, as you can see by the jersey. So for me, I limited it to 3 players in the Dallas Stars on this list, so I felt like it's a little bit more balanced. Now we're going to start off with Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets at number 10, and he's been one of my favorite guys, even one of my favorite prospects for the last couple of years. I've really liked his game, of course, with being in the American team. I've really liked him in the World Junior Championships the past couple of years, and it's great to see him finally develop into a really good NHL player this season. Of course, he was the rookie this season. I felt he was pretty underrated for the whole year, and he really put up great numbers. In the 17-18 season, he played 76 games, had 31 goals, 26 assists for 57 points, and a 49.6% for percentage, and he was one of the main reasons why Winnipeg was so good. 31 goals as a pretty much a depth player for Winnipeg was fantastic. Of course, he rose up for the ranks going for the year, and the playoffs, he was a top 6 guy for them just because he was so good. And I really liked Kyle Connor for a long time as a prospect and both as an NHL player, and him breaking out this season with the Winnipeg Jets is great to see. I love his play style. I love how he's explosive off the ice, and it's great to see the Winnipeg Jets develop him into the fantastic player that he is now. At number 9, I have Johnny Gaudreau of the Calgary Flames, the left winger, age 24, and one of the main reasons that he is so on the list is not because he's a fantastic player. He is a fantastic player, but the stuff that he does off the ice is also amazing. He signs autographs all the time. He's an amazing person off the ice. He does a lot for charity and all that. He's an amazing person off the ice, and off the ice, arguably, he's a better player than on the ice, and he's just an amazing person overall, and has not taken it for granted, being a late pick and then developing his way and working for what he's gotten so far, and mad respect for him, what he does in the Calgary community, and what he does for his overall life. Oh, and yeah, not to mention that he's a pretty good player, too. In the 17-18 season, played 80 games, had 24 goals, 60 assists for 84 points, and a 54.5% correct for percentage, which is absolutely lethal. In his career, he's played 312 games so far, has had 97 goals, 191 assists for 288 points. Definitely impressive for the Calgary Flames, and been one of the best guys in the last few years for the Calgary Flames, and has really been their franchise guy, and their franchise guy going forward. And Johnny Gaudreau is also a likable player. He's very good style. His passing is brilliant. He's just an overall fantastic player, and I love watching him on the ice for Calgary, and I love seeing what he does next. At number 8, I have Radek Faksa of the Dallas Stars, center at age 24. In the 17-18 season, he played 79 games, had 17 goals, 16 assists for 33 points, 50.3% correct for percentage. And in his career, he's played 204 games, he's had 34 goals, 44 assists for 78 points. And it's not the points that's really what brings him up for me, even though he's decent at it and he brings some offense for the Dallas Stars. His defense is one of the best in the league. He was 7th in Selke voting, which was pretty high for him this past season, and definitely well-deserved. He was one of the best guys this past season. Defensively, he is absolutely amazing. He does the little things so perfectly, and overall, and just the big things that you can see, he does fantastic, just simple things, and he definitely will be one of the best guys going forward in defense in the next few years. For me, he's a second line center just because of the defense that he brings. And while he might not be the offensive second line center that a lot of Stars fans want him to be, or that they want to see, the defense certainly makes up for it, and I think he's a second line center, and I think he can play like that. I think he's one of the better defensive guys in the league, one of the best guys out there, and one of the most underrated centers in the league too. At number 7, I have Marc-Andre Fleury, the Flower, for the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, the goaltender, age 33, getting pretty old, surprisingly. Man, it's been a long time since he's been a rookie. But, again, at age 33, he's still fantastic right now with the Vegas Golden Knights. In the 17-18 season, he played 46 games, was a little bit banged up there. He had a 2.24 goals against average with a 9.27 save percentage. He was dominant in the regular season. When he got to play in the playoffs, he was just brilliant until that Stanley Cup final. But in the playoffs, he was certainly one of the best guys on Vegas, and the reason that they got that far. In his career, he's played 737 games with the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vegas Golden Knights. He's had a 2.56 goals against average with a 9.13 save percentage. And he's really rose up the ranks in the last few years I liked him as a Pittsburgh Penguin. I thought he was really good there. And once he won the Stanley Cup, the real big thing that got me to really like him was the 1 year in Pittsburgh, of course, where Matt Murray got injured, and he was supposed to be the guy relied upon, but then Fleury comes in and then beats the Washington Capitals in the second round, and then Matt Murray comes in and wins them the Stanley Cup. And I thought that got them a lot closer, and I feel like Marc-Andre Fleury got not a lot of dues for that, but really was one of the main reasons why they got past Washington that 1 year, and how they were able to win the Stanley Cup. A lot of it was because of him, and I love that underdog story, and of course him being picked by Vegas and having a successful run there. And to me, I already really like the guy, and then he goes to Vegas and becomes even more likable, has a fantastic season in playoffs, and he just becomes more and more likable as the days go on. And for me, Marc-Andre Fleury is one of the better goaltenders in the league right now, and certainly one of my favorites. Just his personality is fantastic, he's a great human being, and on the ice, he's one of the best out there. Now, number 6, I have Victor Arvidsson of the Nashville Predators, and he's been pretty underrated for a little while here in his short NHL career so far. At left winger at age 25 with the Nashville Predators, in his 78th season, he played 78 games, had 29 goals, 32 assists for 61 points. In his career, he's played 220 games, has had 68 goals, 70 assists for 138 points. And Victor Arvidsson I really liked him the last couple of years. Even when Nashville made the Cup final, I really did like his play style. And this past season, he really started to rise to the ranks and finally started to get recognition, which was fantastic because he's been a great player of Nashville for the past couple of years, and he's starting to get his dues, and he's starting to get that recognition that I think he definitely deserves. To me, I think he's a first liner on most teams. He's shown a lot of talent, and even with Nashville, yes, he has great teammates, but he's definitely driving his line and has been fantastic in the last couple of years. Both with speed, his agility is fantastic. His shot is really underrated, and his overall playmaking is fantastic too. He's a great all-around player, can do a lot of things right, and do a lot of things that just explode off the ice, and he's a fantastic guy and a fantastic player on the ice that I really love his style, and I've really come to love over the years. At number 5, I have Jonathan Marchessault of the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, the left center/right winger for them at age 27. I've been following him throughout his career since his Tampa days. I think he went to Tampa, then Columbus, then Florida, then the Vegas Golden Knights. I think it went that way, but he's been in the league for a while, and he's been traded and gone to a lot of teams since then. And of course, last season and the season before he went to Vegas, he had that big breakout year with Florida, scored I think 30 goals, and was fantastic. Now I got to see a little bit of Florida that season, and the games that I saw, Jonathan Marchessault was absolutely brilliant. That season with Florida where he scored 3 goals and he was fantastic, I really came to love his play style, how he was just so fast and so brilliant. And with Florida, it was just such a weird thing that they let him go with the expansion draft and somehow let a guy like Marchessault go, and it really did pain them this past season. But with Vegas, he had a great year. In the 17-18 season, he played 77 games, had 27 goals, 48 assists for 75 points, 53.8% corresponding percentage, which is absolutely brilliant numbers. In his career, he's played 201 games, has had 65 goals, 80 assists for 145 points, 52.9% corresponding percentage in his career. And with him, he in this past year has even grown more than I thought he would with Vegas. When he got picked by Vegas, I knew he was a great player, and the mistake that Florida made was obviously imminent, and I knew it even at the time, but I didn't think he would explode quite like he did with Vegas, both in the assist marks and in the goal scoring. He was great in both, and even though he didn't get that 30-goal plateau like he did in Florida, he was still very good in both categories. Offensively, he was arguably one of Vegas' best guys all around, and was fast, he was speedy, and even though in the playoffs he wasn't the greatest, he was still pretty solid. And with Jonathan Marchessault, I really do like his name. I really like how complicated it is, and that's something that is weird, but I come to love about him, and how he's just been so underrated for a little while. And with Florida, he finally got his dues with Vegas, and is now getting the recognition that he deserves as a first-line guy, and one of the speediest guys, and one of the quickest guys in the NHL right now. At number 4, I have my favorite goaltender in the entire NHL, Jonathan Quick of the Los Angeles Kings. Of course, goaltender at age 32, he's getting up there. It's sad to see he's getting so old, but of course, in the 2012 run with the LA Kings, he was the sole reason why they won the Stanley Cup. Was absolutely brilliant, and the main reason why they won was just so brilliantly fantastic. And it was Marc-Andre Fleury's stats this past season, but he topped it off with the Stanley Cup. In 2014, he also won the Cup as well, being very solid there as well. And in the 17-18 season, he played 64 games, had 2.40 goals on his average, with a .921 save percentage. In his career, he's played 556 games, has had 2.28 goals on his average, with a .916 save percentage. And even though his stats are very fantastic, the play style is what grabs me. I'm going to be honest with myself, I'm a sucker for highlight reel saves, and Jonathan Quick seems to make it every single day. Whether his positioning gives that up or not, well, that was really the question, but for me, he makes those highlight reel saves. He's so entertaining to watch. He's just so wacky, you know, he has that weird stance where he's just down, and it's just the wackiest thing ever. I love watching him every single night when I get the chance. He's just so brilliant, and he makes those highlight reel saves, whether he needs to or not because of his positioning is the real question, but I love how he makes those highlight reel saves. I love just how wacky his positioning is and just how he gets it done somehow and finds how to get it done, how to find wins with those wacky styles, with those wacky saves. And to me, I don't think there's a goaltender more unique and more complicated than Jonathan Quick. He's just so opposition, and how he works with that, and how he makes highlight reel saves to get him up there is really, really interesting. And for me, he's one of my favorite goaltenders to watch in the NHL. How he gets it done with that weird, wacky style, and how he makes saves somehow every single night because of it. It's just so fascinating to watch, and I love watching him, just how his play style works out. And I know that's a weird reason to like a goaltender, but I love how he just completely carried the LA Kings back in 2012, and arguably is still doing that. At number 3, I have Rickard Rakell of the Anaheim Ducks, and I've liked him ever since his rookie season. And of course, he is at age 25. He's a center / right winger for the Anaheim Ducks. And then, 18th season, he played 77 games, had 34 goals, 35 assists for 69 points. Pretty nice on the docket there. He had a 50.1% corsi for percentage. His career, he's played 313 games. He's had 96 goals, 102 assists for 198 points. He's had a 51.9% corsi for percentage, but the stats aren't really everything. In the last couple of years, he's just exploded offensively, and I've really come to love his play style, how he just scores goals at will sometimes, how he just makes it look so gifted. And the thing was, both Rickard Rakell and Braden Point, I love both of those players, Point being my second favorite player in the East, and Rickard Rakell being my third favorite player in the West. They're just so similar players, and how they've been broken out, and how their age is so similar, and how, you know, they're such similar players, which I like that kind of template. I like the goal scoring, I like the assists, but I like the even kind of playing field. Rickard Rakell brings a lot to the team, both defensively, offensively. He brings both of it, and he's a very well-rounded player and a guy that brings everything. I just love Rickard Rakell's style to pieces. He's a all-around player. He just brings everything, and in the last couple of years, of course, he's exploded and broken out, but I kind of liked him before then, too. He's had a lot of potential, and I still think he has a lot of potential still at this point, and I feel like 30-goal seasons are just going to come in spades after this. I love his style. I love his personality. He's also a fantastic person off the ice. There's so many stories of him doing great things for the fans and him doing just unbelievable stuff. He's a fantastic person off the ice too, and you got to see that as well. He's just a fantastic person, a great player, and it's great to see him break out in the NHL and get the recognition that he deserves. At number 2, I have Tyler Seguin of the Dallas Stars. At age 26, of course, is center for them. In 17-18 season, he played 82 games, had 40 goals, 38 assists for 78 points. He had a 51.5% corsi for percentage. In his career, he's played 590 games, had 229 goals, 276 assists for 505 points, for a 54.0% corsi for percentage. And since being traded to Dallas, he's had the second most goals in the entire NHL, just behind Alex Ovechkin. And yes, while he's one of the best players in the NHL, one of the best centers in the NHL, it's his personality that I just love. He's just colorful as ever. His personality is fantastic. He loves to stick out the tongue. He's just a great overall person, and I'd bet he'd be a fun person to hang around, honestly. I'd love to spend a day with him just going crazy, but Tyler Seguin is one of the funnier players in the league. He's fantastic. His interviews are usually pretty good, and he's just an entertaining person to watch, an entertaining player to watch, and it seems like he's always having fun out there. And to me, even as a Dallas Stars fan, I desperately want him to stay in Dallas, but even then, if he leaves, I'd still love him to pieces. He's a great player, one of the best in the NHL, and his personality shines every single night. He's just a colorful person and a brilliant guy, and I don't know how great he is off the ice, I don't know his antics or anything, but I know that on the ice, his personality just around the ice is fantastic, and he's just one of the more entertaining guys to listen to and just watch overall. I love his play style, of course. I love how he scores goals all the time, assists, and all that. He's a fantastic player on the ice, but he's just a brilliant person, and I bet would be fantastic to hang around. Now at number 1, my favorite player of all time right now, Jamie Benn of the Dallas Stars at number 1. And if you know the channel, if you know me for quite a while, you know that this is number 1. Jamie Benn at number 1 is pretty obvious to a lot of people. At age 29, the left winger for the Dallas Stars, he's my favorite player of all time. And I probably would have something different if I grew up in the 90s as a Dallas Stars fan, if I grew up in the 2000s as a Stars fan. But because I'm in the current now and I've grown up around Jamie Benn and the team around him, I've come to love him and the style that he plays. This past season, the 17-18 season, he played 82 games and 36 goals, 43 assists for 79 points. He had a 52.2% corsi for percentage. His career, he's played 667 games, had 254 goals, 342 assists for 596 points, and 51.8% corsi for percentage. Obviously, very, very dominant numbers. He's really underrated for the stuff that he does in the charity. He does a lot for the Dallas Stars Foundation. He does a lot of stuff off the ice. He's a great person to hang around. And while I haven't really gotten the time to meet him, I know that he's done a lot for the community. I know that he does a lot for Dallas in general. And he is the cover face of the Dallas Stars right now, of course, being the captain. But he takes that to heart, and he really works on that. And he really is in the community a lot. And I gotta give him applause for that. He really embraces it, and he really is that great of a person. And of course, you want to see that from your captain. You want to see him interacting in the community, but Jamie Benn does that for sure. And he's one of the best captains out there on the bench. You always see him communicating. You always see him doing stuff. And even on the ice, he's one of the best captains out there. And with the offense, he was a little bit inconsistent last season. Hopefully, he'll be a little bit more consistent next season. But he's just one of the best players. He's one of the best wingers out there. He's just a great all-around player, a great all-around person. The offense, the defense, he brings all of it. The physicality, especially this past season, was there. And overall, one of the best players in the NHL, one of the best wingers in the NHL, and a great person off the ice too. And yes, even though he's a great player, the meaning of growing up around him as a Dallas Stars fan and him being the face of the franchise, when I be growing up as a hockey fan, when I'm growing up as a Dallas Stars fan, has really meant a lot to me, him being the guy, and him being the guy to be relied on in the past couple of years when I become a Dallas Stars fan, and when I become an NHL fan. It really means a lot to me, and of course, I couldn't really pull myself to pick anybody else number 1. Jamie Benn has to be it. It's my favorite player of all time because of what he's done for the community, what he's done as a player on the ice, and of course, him being the captain for my favorite team growing up as a hockey fan. Now, of course, as I told you, my top 10, I want to hear from you guys. What are your favorite players in the Western Conference, and who do you like the most? Who are your favorite players from the West? But that is going to be it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe. Tell me below, what is your favorite players? Again, what is your list? Who are your favorites coming out of the West? I want to know, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.